Welcome to the Blue Apple Tree animation vlog number 8. And to be honest, I'm pretty excited about this one. Um, you know, this time we're skipping the bouncing blue apple and we're going to get the screen straight to the point here. This is the thumbnail you probably saw in the video. If you haven't watched any of the videos, my name is Douglas. I'm learning Blender. I've been working on some characters that I'd like to eventually do an animated short for, and I'm learning from scratch. So if you check out the earlier vlogs, I've sort of talked about my journey, and you'll see all the characters that I've done and the progress and the rigs, and we've gotten to the point where it's time to rig the eyes. And for the eyes, there wasn't a tutorial exactly that I found that gave me the eyes that I was looking for. So I sort of took a lot of the lessons I've learned and I came up with my own setup for the eyes, which I feel was successful. I have a few screenshots here just of what I came up with. Simple 2D style eyes that are kind of flexible, simple controls, hopefully, give that kind of, cartoony emotion that, I can hopefully make work in an animation on my characters. Um, and I want to talk about that today in my video. Just go through the process of developing it and, what needs to be done still. And yeah, and if anybody's interested in learning more, this isn't a full tutorial. I'm going to go through some of the techniques I used to build this rig. And, if anyone's interested, throw some comments down there and I might try to make a full walkthrough video where I attempt to rebuild the rig with a screen recording and yeah, see if I could do that and explain everything. My main roadblock is, as I think I've mentioned before, I still need to learn how to edit a video properly and cut things and you know give me the freedom to make a few mistakes because I'm still sort of pressing screen record, recording it, and then publishing it directly to YouTube. Yeah. But I did recently find out that actually Blender actually has video editing suite built into Blender. So I actually found a video on that, and I think I might try to use that to learn how to better edit some of my videos. In which case, hopefully, a really cool tutorial video will happen. Anyways, one step at a time, let's get into taking a look at this iRig. I'll take a walk through the iRig today and then we'll call it a day. Here we go. So basically, yeah, I've set up this simple iRig. The main base of it is there's a video that I found on YouTube, which I thought was particularly useful. It's right here. It's toon shaded face rig using booleans in Blender 2.92 by a YouTube channel and studio called Lightning Boy Studio. A great tutorial basically goes over how to create an eye, how to use the shader editor in order to add a pupil and a highlight speck, and then how to use booleans to kind of give the eyelashes to blink in a stylized toon way. So I kind of took that tutorial and I built up the base of my eye using that tutorial, and then I just used the things I had learned through the rigging course I took, which I'm always saying is great, which is the art of effective rigging, and kind of combine those two skills along with everything else I've tried to figure out over the last year, and I built a little iRig. So now I'll get into it. So basically what we have here is we have my iRig. So as you can see, it's just threw the eyes in a cube. They are very kind of 2D flat eyes. There's a properties bone up here, which allows me to change certain aspects of the eyes, which I will go over as I sort of review this rig here. And anything else I can think of about how I built it, I'm gonna mention it as I remember it. We'll kind of, for preview's sake, we will take the bones and we'll get rid of the in front. There we go. We'll take down the opacity of these lines. There we go. We'll get a nice tuned look. Okay. As you can see here, we'll go into our bone groups and we'll hide all the mechanism bones. We don't need to see those. And we'll hide the tweak bones for now. The tweak bones only exist for adjustment on the eyebrow. The tweak bones do have effects. You can really dial in the shape of his eyebrow shapes if you want. As you can see, the weighting there isn't perfect because as I move this tweak, the tip of the eyebrow sort of stretches out. That's something I'm going to work on. Yeah, let's go over the controls. So basically we have your eyebrow controls, which in the eyebrow controls I've built in a bit of a connection to the eye. So you can see the eye squashes and stretches here with the eyebrow control. The right eye does. The left eye does not, because I am building in a property which I've only set up for one of the eyes, where I can dial that in and turn that off just in case I might not want the eyebrow move to squash the eyes, but there we go. I think generally I would keep that feature. It kind of gives some nice expressions there. I'll move the eye. And using this slider here, I can dial that in as much as I want. So if I want it to affect the eye less with an eyebrow squash, I can affect the eye a bit less, right? As you can see, the screen right side, funny enough, I just realized now that, I guess it's the screen left side, but it's the right eyebrow to character, to be clear. So you can see that side doesn't have the dial in to control the squash and stretch yet. I'll be putting that in shortly. So it stays squashing the same amount, the default amount. But this one here, I can dial it into no stretch to a full stretch. And I think that's a nice feature because I do have separate squash controls, but as I do a UI for this, I can layer the controls into the main controls, the secondary controls, and the squash and stretch can be more of a secondary control once I have it, because I have it dialed in with the eyebrow. But you can also squash and stretch from the bottom. It's pretty flexible. It takes a lot. It doesn't break. It is pretty, as you can see, you can do a lot. Of course, you can see that when I go down this far, the eye does start to break. But it does give a lot of good movement in there for the eye before you see the rig sort of not work. As you can see here, it's crashing through some of the booleans at this point. Some of this stuff can be tweaked. I can improve that with a little bit of the tweaking of the rig as I am going through the testing phase right now. And this is the eye blink. And if you look from the side, you can see that the eye is bulging from the side of the face a bit, right? So it is a circle in there, it's being Boolean, but at front on it has a very 2D aesthetic, which I'm going for most angles. But just as you get to the side, you can see it's 3D. As I grab this circle here, you can move the eye independently around the face. And as you do, of course, it follows the tracker for the pupil, which is here. And then this moves both pupils. So we're getting movement of the pupils there. Your lower eyelid comes up there. Oopsie, there we go. You can move each pupil individually. They're moving at the same time, of course, because I've got symmetrized things on there, but there we go. You can move each eye individually. You can move it together. Turn symmetry back on. Okay, what else we have in here? The center of the eyebrows, you can move up and down for different expressions. It's kind of squeeze the eyebrows to get more expressions out of it. There we go. Pull up that blink. And what's great is, again, as the eyebrow comes down, it actually brings the blink down a little bit. And if for some reason you didn't want that for your animation, that's definitely something you can kind of dial in. You can take that off and have the eyebrow come down like that, and then you can manually adjust the eyebrow and adjust the squash manually to get your desired expression in. At the sides of the sides here of the eyelash. Oops, I grabbed the eyebrow again. At the sides of the eyelash here, you can pull these down and get his eyelid, his or her eyelid really, to be a kind of arc there. It kind of gives you 3 points to move around to adjust the expression further. And again, my goal with this is to not have too many controls, but have enough controls to give a good freedom of expression. And because this is a toon style, very graphic design for the eyes, you don't need much controls and you can get a lot of expression out of the eyes. And I also have the ability to, using this, using my properties panel here, to kind of change the look of the eyes a little bit more. I can actually hide the entire eyes if I need to hide the eyes at any point. I can just turn off the visibility. I can also turn off the visibility of the eyebrows themselves if needed. So that way it can just a stretching of the face there. Just a stretch without the eyelids. So if I grab the eyebrow and I bring it down, you see I still, even though the eyebrow is gone, you still get a bit of that squash and stretch on the eye. So you might want to make an expression without using the actual brow itself. And as I turn it down, you can see the eyelid will sort of cut off the eye nicely there. I think that's something an effect I desire. There we go. Get that eyelid. Let's bring it back to its neutral pose. Let's bring back my other eyebrow. And let's show another cool thing I like is you also get an eye speck here. So I'm going to bring an eye speck. As you can see, that white dot that appears in the middle. This is that classic highlight you see in cartoon eyes very often. And if I grab these little things in here, I can kind of move this eye speck to wherever you'd want it. You'll see in my properties here, these purple options here. It's the pupil scale and the eye speck scale. I chose to connect that to the outside controls here of the actual spec, so I can actually make that smaller with these controls here. So you put the spec where you want it, and then of course, you can move the eyes. As you can see, the eye spec is following. Sometimes that's a desired look. You have the eye spec kind of follow the eye more or less, which I think this is a nice, cool look. It's a bit dynamic, not intentionally, but for the way the texture generates, as you can see, if you move the eyes up, the eye spec does follow a little bit, but not completely. That's just, I'm not sure how to solve that and make it stick exactly, but I do think it looks cool. I think it keeps it looking like a bit of a reflection. Um, One thing I like to do is I have the eye spec follow. I can actually turn those both off. You saw it jumped a bit. I turn that off, and that allows you to move your pupils without moving the eye spec, which is, again, sometimes that's a desired sort of style and look with your animating the eyes, to have the eye spec stay in one place. If there's a light source that's in the same place, or you don't want to move it, there you go. And again, yeah, the pupils as well. You're free to change the size of the pupils as big and as small as you like for your animation there, right? Very cute, large pupils. Some cuter ones have large pupils. There we go. See, one large pupil. That's a pretty cute eye. Maybe for one of those really cute cartoon characters, those big eye black circles, you can make that adjustment. Also, let's see what else do we have in here. Go back to the controls. And this is actually one that I think I'm going to use on default for my main characters. It's even more simplified. It's called the eye style. So if I click the eye style and I turn it to 1, as you can see, the entire eye turns black. And you just have the white speck in there. And that's another, those, I'm sure you've seen online, those like cute kind of chibi Japanese style characters with those kind of dot eyes and the one white speck. Of course, you can still like have control over the eyelids and the eyebrows, still squash and stretch. What else have we got in here? See, I think there's a lot of flexibility in there. This large control here basically just translates both eyelids at the same time. Just in case you need to move them around the face separately. Let's bring this back to its default pose again. Let's say we had the black eyes and we wanted to just have a character that was just black eyes and eyebrows aren't there. Even more simplified, right? That's often a black dot eye look. You could now, as you can see, when I move this, nothing happens because the eye specs aren't set to follow. If you wanted to have a character with black eyes and a white pupil, you have that flexibility. You switch the specs back to follow, and they follow the target here, just like before. So you could have a character, and you could have your spec animated, or your specs could become kind of like your eye whites, right? I'm really happy with this. I think for me, it's very fun, and I've been talking about it for a while, so I'm proud of it. The black eyes will still squash and stretch, You don't have an eyebrow anymore, but you do have moving. As you can see now, moving this doesn't do anything, but moving this does squash and stretch it. It's because, like I mentioned before, that is something that you can turn on and off on one side now, but shortly it'll be on both sides. I just haven't connected the expressions. I was just testing it out before the video. So as you can see, you can turn that off. If you like the eyebrows can be back on too. Boom. So that's all. I mean, it's pretty simple. As you can see, the way these move here, it's just based off a bendy bone chain. I'm just gonna go inside the rig and show how it was set up. So there's a bendy bone chain here, and you can see by the orcathedral, or whatever you call those triangle type bones, orcathedral. I can't pronounce that word, but basically triangle shaped bones. You can see on the side, it says display as OCTAHED RAL, orcathedral bones. The bendy bones are in the same direction as the orcathedral bones. Basically, the bendy bone chain. I started here. I built a chain of bendy bones, and then to that chain, I added tweak bones, and above the tweak bones, I have these mechanism bones, and these mechanism bones just have a copy transforms, and they're controlled by the eyebrow arch controller. So each transform has a different weight to it. To give this arch, you just kind of play with the weight until it makes the arch of your thing, and you get this nice kind of quick and smooth arch shape that you can also, because of the bendy bones, you can also push it to the side, again, giving you a nice pleasing shape to the eyebrow at the corners there as you push it forward and stretch it. And I think that really does the trick. One thing I'm missing, which I would like to add, is I would like to add another one of these arrow controls on each end, because each end of the chain can't be controlled. So I will be adding another control, putting it at the end, and then using more transforms. Basically, I would duplicate this, make the target the new bone I put at the end, and then I would change it from replace to before original. Of course, I would do it local space, and connect it to the new controller, and then have that move up and down. And that would control the sides of the eyes as I wanted them to, and I would just adjust the influence as I wanted it to be controlled by the side controls. And I think that'll give me all the control I need. Just one control I'm missing, but as I was playing with it today, I realized that I'm missing that control to do the animation I want. And also this might work for a simple mouth, something like this too as well. If you just want to do a line mouth, doubling this control for a mouth would probably work as well. Okay. Let's see. Anything else worth showing? Let me take a peek here. Bring it back to standard. Again, you'll notice I have all my bone groups are all organized here. I use groups to group my deformation bones. I copy my deformation bones, created what I call an ORG bone, and copy transform the deformation bones to the ORG bones, which is just a technique I learned in the art of effective rigging. So I've just stuck with that. It's a good technique, so I just stuck with it. And then above that are the mechanism bones, which kind of control some of the fancy movements. I'll just take a look at the eyes. They're wondering how I got the eyes so flat. I think that's kind of cool, actually. Let me go into the eyes. So basically the eyes, if I go under my collection for the rig, I have this hidden geometry, and that is going to reveal some of the things I use for booleans. We just turn these back on, the lines. So these are basically just, we'll go into object mode. First I'll do this. As I move the eyebrow down, you'll see this kind of box above the eye kind of falls down, and as it crosses the black eye, it kind of covers the eye with this orange that's matching the background to sort of create the blink shape, right? Sort of cover it, and you can create that eyelash blink, right? So that's what's done with the booleans, which I referenced in that Lightning Boy video. It teaches you how to sort of set up a boolean like that. I'll grab this other control, bring it down again, and you see all your booleans come, move these bottom pieces, and these are just basically all these are is just geometry cubes that I modeled and I added a smooth to, and I just put a bone at each end, and I can just, as I adjust that bone, I can create those nice arc shapes on the eye there that you saw as I was explaining the rig before. It's hard to select my controls because I've got all my mech bones there, as you can see. There we go. You can see it basically, these bones here are adjusting the Boolean shape, which is revealing more of the eye in the angle I want. Let me just hide some of these mechanism bones and just leave the control bones on for now. This is just main control. It attaches the head and all the controls to it. There's a master control to move my orange head around. I'm just going to get rid of my eye specks. Eye spec. Again, I would like to get a better UI for this. This is just my properties bone. Eventually, I build a UI, which is always visible on the screen. That'll make these look nicer. Still some tidying up to do, and any suggestions on how to improve this, or or spelling mistakes or anything you see, feel free to shoot that in the comments. I have still much to learn. Going into object mode, now we've kind of gone into object mode. Oh, I forgot one more thing I wanted to show. Object. Back into pose mode. Because you have these black dot eyes, this control here allows you to move the black dot eyes on the head. And there's a shrink wrap, so they're going to stick to the head no matter where I put this. And as I bring it to the edge, as you can see, they are shrink wrapped to the head there. So they're kind of staying projected on the front of his face. It's just meant so that if you have no pupils and you want the character to look in a certain direction, you can slide the eyes around the head for that when you have these stylized black dot eyes. Okay, so let's look at how these eyes sort of come together on the outside, the geometry, briefly. As you can see, when I'll pull this out, the eyeball kind of stretches out. This is sort of an unattended sort of bonus to my rig, because what's happening underneath the surface here is that's the shape of the eye right there. They're just two spheres, simple spheres, right? And this thing here is a Boolean. So I've got a Boolean modifier on these eyes, and it keeps them stuck right to this flat shape. But what's cool is I can also give them a bulging effect if I need to. If I was just in a side profile, I needed oh shoot, it's too thin on the sides and you can't see the character's eyes. It's not working for the shot. I can kind of pull this out to show the side of the character's eyes if needed. Or if there was like a ball bulging, like, whoa, I see cheese or whatever, you could just bulge the eyes out. I think that's kind of useful to have. Completely by accident, just the behavior of the way lattices work. So I'm going to go to object mode quickly here. We're just going to hide this head. And you'll see here we have these lattices. Again, I just did a lattice with a U of 2, a V of 4, and a W of 2. This is enough to kind of flatten the eyes into this pancake shape, which gives this 2D eye effect. There we go. Let's see what else can we do. Okay, I guess we can see the modifier stacking on these things. And again, this eye thing, if you're confused, like, oh, how'd you make this eye? How did you cut those shapes out? Check out that video. You can put the base of this together before you add your rig controls on there and your bones of how these eyes sort of cut into each other and work just by watching the Lightning Boy video. Eventually, I'll try to retell that in my tutorial, which might be coming, especially if people want it. See, we have a lattice, we have a Boolean. This Boolean is just allowing the eye to be cut out properly. All these eyes kind of have Booleans on them, which are allowing the cutout to work properly. There you go. You can see I took the Boolean. Oh, that's the lattice I'm doing. See, there's a lattice. The Boolean, allows the cutout to happen properly. So yeah, there we go. That's I think that's pretty much all there is to in this rig. Again, there will be some final tweaks to do to clean things up, make sure things are working right, make sure things aren't breaking. But I think we're at a pretty good place with this right now. And here we go. For those that haven't tuned in and made it to the end of the video, you can see I've got a fox character here, and I've got these temporary black eyes. I plan on merging or what's called, joining. So I guess in object mode. So object join. I'll select this rig and I'll select the fox rig, and then I plan to join them together to make it one rig, and I'll kind of put the eyes in the right place on the fox, and then hopefully my fox will have kind of working eyes. And the next character I have here is a bear. This is my bear character. All these characters rigged out with the exception of the mouth and the eyes. Eyes are coming, as you can see. He's got, I went over this rig on a previous one of my vlogs, so if these interest you and you want to know my progress on these, I did go over my rigs. I think might have been last video. Yeah, my last vlog. I think I went over these rigs here. I got my characters rigged up, and the final character I have rigged up is this little duck character, kind of rigged up in a very similar way. He is ready to have eyes put onto him. So yeah, that's my next step, is to clean up this eye rig, and then I'm gonna kind of duplicate this eye rig 3 times and throw it on to my characters and get it merged in with my current character rigs. And yeah, that's sort of where we're at. Like a bunch of property bones here, a bunch of other properties for this rig to be sorted out. Yeah, there's still a lot to do, but it's come a long way, and I think we're close to having these working rigs. So I'm gonna end the video here. I think I've been talking long enough, but I also think I had a lot to explain. And once again, yeah, I'm proud of this rig. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Yeah, feel free to throw a comment below if you have any questions. Eventually, I do plan on doing a proper tutorial on here. I might actually tackle just these eye rig tutorial first, because it's a little simpler than this entire character rig with eyes on it. So this might be the first actual tutorial I do, might be going through this eye rig. Otherwise, if you're interested in this eye rig, if you like it, hopefully I've given you enough information to get started and figure it out. And if you try to tackle something similar and you run into any problems, yeah, shoot me a comment here and I will reply. Either to the comment or if it's warranted in video form. Thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure with another vlog, and until next time, have a wonderful evening.